for putting on this webinar this afternoon. You will have heard, I'm sure by now, of Qualia interviews, and that's why you're here. It's been causing some buzz in the community. And Steve, of course, and his team are well known for the work on causal maps. So this should be a really, really significant session. And it's the final session of our Learning Hub sessions on the topic of AI and evaluation. And we've had a sparking discussion which had 250 people on the ground at the Zoom event, two professional development workshops, and now this exploration of the Qualia interviews tool with Steve and Gabrielle. And we're moving on to more topics that will be given out information soon. Please do get in touch with us if you've got any topics that you feel you would like to see us address in workshops or in webinars, and we'll go with that. I'll pass you over now. Steve, Gabrielle, thank you so much. Welcome. Over to you.
Yo, muted. Thank you very much. I'm going to work out which of these screens I need to, that's it, hopefully this one now being shared. Yes. So thanks very much for inviting us. So very obviously pleased to be here. We're going to talk to you for a little bit, and mainly you'll get some hands-on time to try the tools that were presented to you yourselves. So hopefully you can now see that. No,
Yes.
lost.
Yes, we can.
Good. Great. So Gabrielle, I think, no, that's me. It's my slide. So my name's Steve Powell. I'm from Causal Map Limited based near Bristol in the UK. I was lived in different countries in Europe for a while, quite a long time, and was an evaluator most of the time, and since been involved in setting up Causal Map and Qualia interviews. And Gabriele?
Hi everyone, I'm Gabriele. I'm the outreach coordinator at Causal Map. I'm from Brazil, but I'm based in Bath, UK. And I have a master's in international development, and I'm also an internationalist.
So we'd just like to say thanks for coming here today. The tools that we're sharing with you are, I mean, we've been in development 3-4 years, but it's always changing every minute, every 5 minutes, and a little bit work in progress. We hope you enjoy exploring the possibilities with us. We're very grateful to a couple of colleagues like Silva Thretti and some others around the world who have helped us recently on trying out, pushing the boundaries of the Qualia tools. We think there's lots of fantastic possibilities here with this kind of tool. You'll find that we're flexible and responsive, or reflexive. We're flexible and responsive, and if you have something that you got stuck on or a question, then just get in touch and you'll quite often get an answer very quickly. So the plan, Gabriele?
Yeah, so this is just a summary of what we're planning to do today. Right after this, we're gonna have a poll just to learn who you are and what you're interested in using AI for evaluation. Then you're gonna be experienced being interviewed by our AI with a demo interview. We'll move to why we decided to have an AI-led app. Then we're going to explain to you what is quality interviews and walk you through all of the applications so you can learn how to use it. And then we'll move to our hands-on exercise, which is the focus of today's session. So you can learn how to conduct AI-led interviews with many respondents. Then we're gonna give you a few tips on how to write the instructions for the AI, and also analyze the data once you have collected with Qualia interviews, and finally having a discussion on limitations, the role of the researcher, and Q&A, obviously.
Great. So Hayat, are you able to switch the poll on? Or is that something that we have to do? We've got a very short poll for you. Polls? Is that something that I can do? Polls?
I think
There
I
we
was
go.
able to launch it.
Here we are.
Can everyone see it?
Perhaps I have to stop sharing, do I?
No, that's working.
It's working.
That's working.
Great. So
Yeah, so the first question is, do you work most of the time as an evaluator? Yes or no? Have you ever used an AI like ChatGPT? The third question is, have you ever answered an AI-led interview? That's a very interesting question to ask you. Fourth is, have you ever designed or implemented your own AI-led interview? Fifth, are you more confident in quantitative evaluation methods than qualitative methods? Sixth, are you skeptical about the use of AI in evaluation? We're seeing a lot of responses coming, very interesting. Seventh, are you optimistic about the use of AI in evaluation? Let's give it like 1 more minute. We're on 66 people answering. 75 out of 91, almost there.
interesting. So most people are saying that they're more confident in qualitative than quantitative methods for quite a big margin. And people are less skeptical than more skeptical, but quite a few people are skeptical too about the use of AI. But many people are optimistic, and only a few people are say they're not optimistic. So that's very interesting. So there's some people who are both skeptical and optimistic, like me. So I think that's probably
Yeah.
very, very interesting. So it seems to have slowed down now. So we'll end the poll.
You can change
your Okay.
Wi-Fi.
Thank you. So we're back to the, oops, stop sharing. Shall I share results? Stop sharing. Can I just close this? Stop sharing.
Yeah.
I've done this one before. There you go. Right. So let's get interviewed. So that was a little bit of interesting, very useful for us, interactive information. More interesting for you is we're now going to invite you to start a little interview from the Qualia interviewer. So if you'd like to, if you've got a phone to hand, then you can photograph that short code. Otherwise, you could type that short URL .at/7EET8 into a web browser, and you'll be able to get a little bit of a feel what it's like. You can do it right now, so feel free. You'll get a little bit of a feel what it's like.
Also... Sorry, Steve, it's just the link is also in the chat if you want to just click and go straight to the demo.
Thank you. So just give you a little bit of a feel what it's like to be interviewed by a very simple interviewer.
Yeah, so this is a demo interview on the current problems in the USA. We know that people are very have many ideas on what are the problems right now, and it's a way to just get a feeling of how it is to be interviewed about from an AI.
In real life, this interview would probably take like 10, 15, possibly more minutes, maybe half an hour. But in this case, we'll ask you just to just engage a little bit with the interviewer, answer a couple of questions just to get a feel what it's like, and then we'll call you back. So at your leisure, feel free to follow the link.
Yeah. If anyone's having issues with connecting to the link, just let me know and we can help you.
Battery 80%. Connected to SG0MPUTER and DSKTOP8414IS.
Ooh, some people are fast.
Yeah, we're already getting a lot of responses. Wow. Yeah, we have around 60 responses already. I think we can continue, Steve.
Yeah, it's only sort of one each. Perhaps give people a little bit longer, as some people have maybe taken a second to get there. I can see 50 sessions, 60 sessions, 70 sessions, goodness. 80 sessions. Yes. 90 sessions, wow. So I think that's probably long enough. It might be a little bit frustrating if you just got starting to argue with the robot, but or really say what you think about what's happening in the USA. But perhaps that's you get a feel for how it works. So perhaps you could stop there, and what we'd like you to put. This is your slide, Gabriele. Sorry.
Yeah, just feel free to share what you felt when chatting to the AI, either on our chat with emojis or with some words, or put your emoji reactions just for us to see how people are reacting to it.
So if you can put into the chat rather than into the chat interview, you can close your interview and just put into the chat any feelings that you had.
Surprised, excited. The respondent has to be very good at typing then. Not
yes,
sure.
it is possible also to just point out that it's possible also to enable a microphone so that you can talk rather than type. But that's something that we thought it'd be simpler not to do today, but that's also a possibility.
Yeah. Has anyone felt uneasy with it?
Too little time. Yes,
Easy
well,
to use. Yeah.
We zoomed you through it.
Rather impersonal. Yeah, you can take more time, use the same link to just test it around. Once we are done here, we have more demos in our website as well. So the link, I'm gonna put it here in the chat again. More people are asking for it.
Hi, Zainab. Yes, it's lots of the things that people are putting make total sense, but we should probably point out that every interview is different, and every interview set of interview instructions is different. So it's possible to make just you might feel, for example, oh, that was very impersonal, but then it's possible to make a much more personal interview guideline, or sometimes it might seem very kind of speaking very short sentences, or it's very kind of terse, but it's possible to do the opposite, or it's possible to get it to be very repetitive, or to drill down and not let you go until you've answered, or it's possible to have a very sort of casual and open kind of conversation. So like somebody says, it feels more like a survey, and in some cases that's perfectly true, and you can maybe you want it to be a little bit like a survey, or maybe you want to set up your interview in a way that's not like a survey, more like a sort of very fireside chat. So that's not really so what you're seeing there is not really a product of the possibilities of AI interviewing. It's just one particular interview that we set up for you in this way. So the next slide. So why AI-led interviews? So to cut things, to ridiculously oversimplify things, you could say that in terms of evaluators capturing data from humans, from respondents, there's basically like two ways you can do it. There's two kind of dimensions which are kind of opposite or possibly orthogonal right angles to one another. You can go for quality, or you can go for quantity. Yeah, you can go for more in-depth, more slower, more adaptable, more inductive, more theory building, or you can go more for your quantity, rapid, cheap, reliable, something like that. So obviously you've got face-to-face interviews on the one end and structured questionnaires on the other, probably the two most frequently used tools in the evaluation world, arguably. And we see conversational AI interviewing as something that's both in between, that's maybe not quite as high along the quantity scale as structured questionnaires, not quite as high up the quality scale as face-to-face interviews, of course. But interestingly, we've put quite a big box there because we think there's a lot of different possibilities you can do with conversational AI interviewing, which are not limited to just one style, but there's lots of, you can use AI interviewing as kind of as many different tools at the same time, or one after the other. So in a little bit more detail, this is all very kind of stereotyped. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, and you could talk about QCA and various other things that lie in between. But if you see there, the purple checkbox is supposed to be the questionnaires, and the microphone is supposed to be human-to-human interviews. We could argue that the human-to-human interviews are best at capturing emergent, unexpected phenomena, for reading between the lines, for trying to get a picture of how this office really looks, or what this organization, how it really works, and also, of course, for theory building, something I've not put on there. Whereas there's a few more down here, advantages for questionnaires: fast to administer, fast to analyze, fast to set up, cheaper, generally speaking, more reliable and reproducible in the sense that you haven't got kind of noise of the interviewer's personality, or the random noise, just like the person arrived late, or someone had a cold, or it was rainy that day, or whatever. And of course, questionnaires are, generally speaking, much easier to scale. But not surprisingly, I don't like to have this bot thing. I don't think of the AI interviewer as a bot, but it was a nice logo icon I could use. With AI interviewers, we think a little bit, score pretty well on all of those criteria. So they're fast to administer, they're fast to set up, relatively easy to analyze, and they can be surprisingly adaptable. Reading between the lines, not so much. So we're not going to get the kind of human nuance quite so much, insofar as it's something that people aren't going to type. If people are typing, then you can pick up all kinds of nuance in what they type. And easy to scale. And a surprising thing that perhaps the other two don't really have so much is it's really easy to do multi-language. So the way Qualia interviews are set up, you can send people a link and it should adapt to the language of their browser and just start talking to them, both the UI and the questions, in their language of choice. And if that person then switches language, normally the interviewer does a good job of just like seamlessly switching into Hungarian without blinking an eyelid, or into Romanian, or whatever you're speaking. Yes, generally speaking. So when would you use AI interviewing? You'd certainly do it when you don't know exactly what you want to ask. If you know what you want to ask, then you could have used a questionnaire with open questions, I guess, if you know exactly what the questions are in advance. But if you want to explore, then like a normal interview, AI interviewing is great. And it's good when you're using different languages. We recommend also scaling up. So it's great if you can still got the opportunity to do 3 or 5 or 10 human-to-human interviews yourself or yourselves, and then put what you've learned about how to structure the interview into the AI and scale up like that. You wouldn't use AI interviewing if you've got a lot of very specific questions, like 30 or 50 or 60 questions you need to ask. Don't bother. You may as well then just use a questionnaire. And it's not suitable for sensitive information, like most web-based things aren't. Which could be a significant drawback in some use cases. So, Gabriele.
Sorry, I was muted. So what's it's a platform AI-led online interviews, and we like to say that it's like a SurveyMonkey but for stories. And we design it to be very easy to use and cheaper than conducting normal traditional interviews. So one interview costs around £1 to £2, and when you first register to use the app, you get £50 credits to just try it out and see if this is a good tool for you to use in your research. And you don't really need a subscription. You just need to buy more credits once you're running low on them. You can just pass Steve. So how does it work? As I said, it's very easy to use. So you just design and test the interview in the app. And once that is done, you can just copy the link and send it to your respondents, like we did right now for the demo. You just responded. And then you can analyze the transcripts either on Qualia interviews or on other with other ways or other tools for analyzing qualitative data. And alternatives for quality interviews, if you don't want to use it, are AI Lies and Yasna, for example, which are other tools for collecting data with AI.
Yeah, there may be others, but those are the two that we're aware of. So, oh, it's my job. Oh, I've got the hard part now. So I'm going to actually, so the Qualia is two things. It's the chat interviewer that actually talks to people, and then there's the workspace, the editor app, within which you design and create your interview. So I'm going to have to stop sharing this one and start sharing. Oh my goodness, where's the share button gone? Keeps disappearing. I'm going to have to share a different screen. Oh, Alt S, it's useful to know. So it's screen 3, I guess. Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So when you enter the edit app, the workspace app, you haven't yet created any interviews, it will ask you, what's the name of your interview? Well, I'm going to ask people colleagues of mine, how they feel about working from home, like that. So we need to have a unique name. And I'm going to set up an interview, and the app's going to help me to set up an interview, and then I'm going to share with my colleagues what they feel about working from home. The next thing you see is this interview advisor pops up, and the advisor is always there to help you, and it will help you to set up your interview. So it's asking me here, what's the purpose of the interview? So this advisor is not Qualia, it's not the chat interviewer, it's another AI which helps you to construct your interview. So it's asking me what I want. So I want to find out from my colleagues, already typed that before, so use that again. Find out from my colleagues what it was like when they first started working from home, how things changed and why. So that's the sort of starter. That's the kind of thing I want to find out. Maybe I could, at this point, put some more details, or maybe I'm too lazy. So I'll just say that's approximately what I'm looking for. And then so the advisor thinks about that and makes some suggestions how I should set up my interview. And the suggestions it makes are to do with these 4 text fields over here. And these 4 text fields define what your interview is going to be like. There's the description, what people see when the interview starts, the greeting, the very first thing they say, the instruction, which is the most important part, which is like the more detailed instructions about how the interviewer is to behave, similar to the instructions you give to an assistant who is going to do interviews for you, and the final message. So the advisor here has made some suggestions. So I could tweak these fields here myself, but I'm not going to, I'm lazy. I'm going to get the advisor to do it for me. And I could continue to talk to the advisor, but I'm not going to. And you see the advisor's already updated the text here, and these are the texts that guide that shape the interview. And over here, I've got a testing panel where I can test the interview. It's already adapted itself to, so there's the text over here. I could edit them further if I want to, or if I'm really lazy, I'll say that's already a great interview. It might even work quite nicely. I can then copy the interview URL like that, copy to my clipboard. I can send that to my colleagues, and I've set up an interview, conversational interview in like 2 minutes or something like that. But in real life, I probably want to test it a bit more. So I can test it here in this panel. I can test it using an automated tester. So here I can say, give instructions to the automated tester. So be really mean and grumpy.
So Steve, could
Be
you
really mean.
could you make the screen a little bit bigger so that people are asking?
Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yes.
Is that easier to see? Thank you. Sorry. Yes. So here, if I want to, I can test the interview as you just did by typing here, or if I want to, sometimes it's very useful to be able to test out what would happen if someone didn't speak good English or French, or what the main language is, or what if someone was in a bad mood or in a good mood, or was very discursive and talked too much. I can then also automate the testing, and the 2 AIs will then talk to one another, but it gives you an idea of what the interview is going to be like, and you'll probably find, oh, that's not working very well. So I'm going to click on the edit toggle and perhaps change the instruction a little bit to make it behave in a different way, more digging deeper or being more friendly, or repeating things or not repeating things, or trying to find out more about the person, or give warm feedback or not give warm feedback. All of those things you can fiddle with here. If you're interested in finding out more details about how the app works, you can press this tour button. There's several of them, which gives you like clues about the different parts of the app and what they do. When you want to see what the interviews, the transcripts of the interviews, what the data that's already come in, you can see them here in this tab. You can download them, and there's an automatic overview, which gives you a sort of summary of the contents of the interview, and so on and so forth. So in a couple of minutes, you'll get a chance to try this yourselves. And there's an overview on the basis of 2 interviews with a little diagram. It's a little bit, it's not super scientific, but it's something to get you going in terms of analysis. Here's where you see how many credits you've got left and so forth. But that's the basic idea. So basically, to go over it again, you create a new interview. This happens automatically when you start. You then talk to the advisor to get the advisor will help you to set your interview up. You can come back to the advisor and ask more questions, more tips on how to improve it. You can test your interview here manually by typing, or here with the automatic advisor, or you can get a link, or you can look yourself. You can test. One of these links takes you straight to another browser tab where you can try it yourself, or you can copy the link, send it to someone else, or you can even get a link to try the audio version. So that's very briefly how that works. I think now I've got to share the other screen again. Oh, this is such hard work. This is like the worst part. Oh my goodness. Share, Alt S, walk through screen 2. There we go. I'm getting good at it now. Are we back?
Yeah.
Great. So, no, it's me, privacy and consent. So, it's on the internet. So, I mean, nothing's super, you know, if you're James Bond or a hacker or something, you can probably work out what's going on. If somebody really wants to hack into this, I don't know, if they have nothing better to do, they could probably, like, they could hack into your email or your Dropbox or whatever. So if it's super sensitive, then don't do interviews, AI interviews like this that are on the internet any more than you would do a survey if it's super sensitive, or if it's putting people in danger by the information they might be giving to you. By default, we assume that all interviews are anonymous. We don't store personal information at all, but it is possible to send the interviews with a key, with a special number, so that you at least know who said what, but they're not giving any information as part of the interview, but you can then work out who said what, if that's what you need. It's important to get people consent before they start. And there is a text which you probably saw when the respondent starts the interview, and you can add to that text to say that they consent to taking part. Yes, and it's multi-language. There's quite a few different. Yeah.
Sorry, just one addition to the privacy part. Because we use AI, people always ask us if this data is being used for training. But it's not. We use the API from OpenAI, which means that the data is only stored by OpenAI for 30 days for compliance reasons, and it's not used for training data. And after 30 days, it's deleted. And you can always delete your data from your interviews directly from your account as well.
Yes, thank you, Gabriele. And so there's a lot of stuff about language, like how to get it to talk in different languages and testing it in different languages. But there is something about that in the documentation, but we haven't really got time to deal with that now. So we're going to talk a little bit about the instructions, because the key to a good interview is good instructions. And even slightly different instructions can make a lot of difference to how the interviewer behaves, how they feel, what kind of interview then comes. You can make a very highly structured interview with like many sections and subsections. You can have it very loosely structured, just an exploration around a topic. You can have conditional logic, so don't ask this set of questions if the person answers that they don't work from home, for example. We like to do iterative questioning, so you can ask, for example, what's the cause of a certain thing, and then what's the cause of that, and what's the cause of that. So it's kind of a sort of a back-chaining algorithm. Or also for social network diagrams, so you can ask like who's connected to whom and who gave what kind of assistance or support, or who to whom, or who communicates with whom. It's quite easy to develop an interview guideline to make that kind of questioning happen. You can get it to have a hypothesis to formulate, or you can give it a starting hypothesis, like we think the problem with working from home is this. And then you can tell the AI to iterate on the hypothesis and to reflect, to change its hypothesis as it goes along, and then adapt its questioning according to its evolving hypothesis, for example. And what's coming up now are thinking models like O3 and Claude, the new Claude model that's just come out. So, and also the DeepSeek as thinking models. So you can get it to think a lot more deeply about exactly what question to ask next. And the possibilities there are endless, although at the moment they can be perhaps a bit slow for a natural interview. Gabriele.
Yeah, so a lot of things, this is a very common thing that we deal with when we are trying to write instructions or talk to an AI, is that it's not responding to the instructions that we are giving. Steve, you can just put all of the information on the slide. Yeah, thank you.
Oops.
So what usually happens is that the AI is not understanding you quite as well as you intended to. So if the instructions are not working, just tweak the instructions, test it. Make sure that you are being very clear with the interview guidelines. And don't overload it. If you give just too many informations to the AI, you will get confused. So just iterate it and test it until you're happy with the behavior of the interviewer.
Yeah, if it's coming out wrong, if the interviewer is interviewing wrong, it's probably you, not the AI. It's probably you just give the instructions, the same instructions to like a friend and say, right, could you now go and do an interview with exactly those instructions? They'll probably go like, what? Like, that's already confusing, or you've pasted loads of stuff together, or you've not explained this or that. So it's normally if you've made clear and well-structured instructions, then normally the AI will be able to do it well. The only thing that it does reach limits. So if you've got like a 3 or 4 page set of instructions with like hundreds of details about what to do if then at some point it's going to start to forget it. Same as a human would if the human had to remember the instructions. That's probably about the right test. If a human could read it and remember it and go into a different room and conduct the interview, on the basis of what you've given it, you're okay. If it's so complicated and long, your instructions, it's not memorable, then it's probably the AI is going to trip up too. Gabriele?
Yeah, so a checklist for when you are creating your interview is to test your interviews before full deployment to make sure the behavior is according to what you wanted. Monitor for inconsistencies and adjust the interview design as you need. If you have launched your interview and you spotted a mistake on the behavior, you can adapt it, but make sure to document the steps you took with the adaptations and all of the reasoning behind the instructions, because this is important both for you and for the transparency of the study. And of course, as in all of research that we do, use the learnings from each round to refine your interview design, because this is an iterative process.
Great. So now I think we're going to, sorry, Gabrielle, these are kind of your slides. I'm just going to skip through them so that people have got time to actually do the practice. So what you're going to do in a minute is you're going to break out into breakout rooms, 4 or 5 to a room. But I'm going to skip straight to this. This is going to be your task, and we're going to paste this task back into the chat, because when you're in the breakout room, you can't see this. So in your breakout rooms, you're going to agree on a simple interview you can start to create together. Think about the context and the audience, like who are you asking what and what do you want to find out, and keep it reasonably simple. One of you will get elected as the editor. That person should have a good Wi-Fi connection, and it's easier if they've got a Google account, or you can register with email too. And that person then goes to, just that one person, the editor, goes to this link, edit.qualiainterviews.com, or this QR code, and they will do what I just did now. They'll see, and they can share their screen. You'll decide together a name for the interview, and then you can all watch and help the editor to use the interview advisor or to directly edit the interview texts. to tweak the interview to make it work the way you want it to. The editor then tests the interview, and you can all watch and help. Inside the editor interface, that's the little embedded chat inside the editor interface that you saw me use before, or if you feel you've got time, or if it's fun, you can use the automation too, to do automated testing, or you can copy the link and send it to the others, and you can all test it together, and you can then tweak the interview text to improve it. Probably won't have time to do all of this, but hopefully you'll have time to do some of it. The main thing is to explore, and hopefully there'll be a help button. So if you get stuck, which you might, then ask for help, and we'll, I think what we then do is we jump into your breakout room to help. And if you really get stuck and you can't find the help button, then one of you can, I think, jump back out up into the main room, and we can talk to you there if you get stuck. Are there questions about that? If there are questions, put them in the chat, I think. Oh, thanks, Gabriele.
Yeah.
Zach's got a
Nothing
question
coming up.
about, okay, I should answer that after Zach. Yes, there's lots of questions which we'll look through while you're in the interview. I think none of those are relevant to the
To the
to the task at hand.
exercise.
Yeah. So if that's clear, then Hayat, you're going to help with the actual breakout rooms. Let's put people in. So this is the fun part. This is where you get to actually make your own interview. You're muted, Hayat, if you're saying something.
So yeah, sorry. We'll have 4 to 5 participants in each breakout rooms. Would it be 15 or 20 minutes? How are you going with time?
It's going to be more like 15.
15, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone, you will receive a notification to join a room. So please, like, accept. And when you are done with the time, please leave the breakout room, not the overall meeting, so that you are back with us for the discussion. And of course, let us know if you have any questions. There should be an ask to help button, or you can just leave the breakout room and we can just assign you again for any issues. So you will be receiving it now. Okay. And here we are. Okay, you should be able to see the rooms, and people are already joining the rooms. So
Amazing.
Well done, Hayat. Yeah, that's quite a job. I'm glad I didn't have to do that.
So, and so far, okay, I'll just pause the recording. Welcome back, everyone. So people are just joining.
Things in there about why, how it disturbed you and stuff like that.
So,
Actually, nothing
welcome
was.
back, everyone. Maybe like if we can mute yourself, that would be great. And Steve, just for your information, like Paula was asking for help in one room, so maybe if she can share her question.
Right. Should I say straight off that certainly lots of people seem to have been doing fine from what I can see, but certainly some people had a problem that's obviously with 200 people at once using it, or at least no, divided by 4. That there's sometimes that was slow to load the design and test tab. if that happened, I mean, it wouldn't normally happen because you wouldn't normally have so many people using it at once. But if something like that does happen, you need to click on another tab and click back again, and you should be all right. So anyway, if you could put in the chat now, like it said, what worked and what didn't work for you, and we'll try and triage your different what worked, what was awful.
Yeah, some people had a delaying process with updating the interviews. And you just need to refresh the page and it will go back to working. I think because the traffic was too big. Oh, great, Zach. Everything worked for us, including the overview feature.
Yes.
Rita is saying that we were stuck in the process. We could not start and test our interview. Oh, that's a shame. But if you need help
Yes,
at the
sorry
end,
about that. Yes.
you can email us and we'll help you out.
Yes. I can see from the traffic that certainly lots and lots of people did manage to get there, but some people got stuck on the first tab. If you click on a different tab and click back again, that normally makes it load up. So how do you get the helper agent back once you've got into testing? Yeah, you can, at the bottom right of the screen, there's like a chat bubble, like a sort of green chat bubble at the very bottom right. If you click on that, then you can get back into the advisor. And if you're still on the same interview, you should continue the conversation from the same point where you were. So if it's helped you with certain things, and it can also see, so to speak, the text. So if you've then, it's helped you a little bit, and then you've changed some of the text, improved, tweaked some of the things, and then you click the advisor again, the advisor can see what you've changed, and so you can continue the conversation from that point. So the advisor, at the moment, the advisor is not a super expert on making amazing interviews. We're improving it. But as time goes on, we'll be able to give it more and more tips about what to do to help you make a good interview. We tried Swahili, that was impressive, good. Auto test. Yes, it is complicated because there are three different, well, there's more, but there's three different AIs that you can see. There's the main AI that does the chatting, that does the interviewing, and then there's the advisor, which is the green help button at the bottom right, which is the one that helps you construct the interview. And then there's the autoresponder, which helps you to test the interview. So that can be quite confusing to get your head around to start with. And Zeynep says Turkish work too. Good. So that was feedback from the breakout session. Now we need to keep moving on. So Gabriele. So instructions are the key, the heart of it, and she's going to tell us a bit more about it.
Sorry, I'm not seeing the screen. Just
because I'm not sharing it. That's why I'm not sharing it. Share. So it should be Alt S, yeah? But it doesn't work. So should be screen 2. Sharing. Okay.
Oh, there you go. So just very quickly, because we're running out of time, best practices on how to create good instructions to the AI is to have a name for your interview, research aims, and not predetermined questions necessarily, but like what you want to find out from your respondents. And that's what the advisor asks you when it's helping you create your instructions. And these, like any other face-to-face human-to-human interviews, you can adapt those tips to the AI. So listen actively, build rapport, probe for deeper insights, but also being flexible. So to explore the perspectives of the respondents, summarize periodically to make sure that the AI is understanding what the respondent is saying, and guide the discussions, not to lead the conversation, but to align with the research objectives, while remaining open for more perspectives and unexpected insights. You can pass to the next one, please.
Right. I'm just typing some answers. There you go. Whoops.
Oh, there you go. And common pitfalls to avoid, it's avoid rushing just in a normal interview, respect the time of the respondent and the natural flow of the conversation, and you can instruct the AI to do the same. And as I mentioned before, steer clear of leading questions because we don't want to mess up with the transparency of the interview process. Next one, please. We'll send all of these tips to you by email, and they're also in our website. But very quickly, think of the AI as a human intern, and you need to be very clear when you are writing instructions, because if a human wouldn't understand, the AI won't understand as well. So start simple, with a very clear objective for your interview, and be very specific on what you want to find out. Create structure as well. Start with a clear and concise statement, and explain everything else you want the AI to do, but be careful to not overload it with a lot of information. Contextualize if you need, to explain to the AI why, what is the context of that interview and that research as well. And try different approaches of instruction. Sometimes one type of instruction will work and another won't, for different kinds of contexts. But yeah, next slide, please.
Oh, that's good. I've only typed one answer in the chat. Oh, that's me. Yes, so I'll just WhatsApp channel. I'll just put that. Just answering this questions in the chat. Whoa. So what's really exciting about this, I think, is that, and it's not just Qualia, obviously there are two others, and there will, I'm sure, be other offers in the AI interviewer space. But we think it's just like super exciting in terms of what you can get out of it and the kinds of research that you can do with this that you couldn't even think of before. If we go back to this slide back here, I think this is the most interesting slide because it's saying that what can you do in this space that's kind of talking to quantity, let's, in a caricatured quantity and quality at the same time. There's all kinds of different questions that you can ask, like, for example, causal mapping questions. So you can ask people, what caused what in your world, or what's causing what in your world, and what problems are there, and what causes the problems, what drives the problems, what do those problems lead to. So that's a way of backchaining, a way of causally pulling out information about people's mental models, for example, which you can do quite nicely with this kind of interviewer. And the kind of information you're getting there is a kind of network, like a qualitative causal network that's in people's minds. But that's just one example. And there's techniques like laddering, which is about values. There's questions, there's ways of asking the interviewer to help you to ask social network questions to elicit a social network in a much more interesting way than, or in certainly there are other different ways of doing it, but I think it's a very interesting way to elicit a social network. Just to go back to this. So try around, play around and see what you can do. Like I said, you can get the AI to make a hypothesis. It can start off with your hypothesis and then develop its hypothesis during the interview or even during the series of interviews, and then adapt its questioning according to the evolving hypothesis, for example, something that traditionally a human would be very good at, an individual interviewer, but it's quite exciting to be able to do that kind of thing at scale and across languages and across time points, for example. So when it comes to analyzing your data, there's two ways to start, I guess. One is a global analysis, which basically says, obviously you can do it yourself. You can just read all the interviews and write a summary like you would have done in the old days. The overview tab in the editor app you've just been using produces a very simple global analysis like this, but it really leaves a lot to the AI if you're going to do it with an AI. So it's we don't really like it because it's too much responsibility, really, in terms of too much influence on the research findings from this kind of unknown entity, which is the AI, which is a lot less transparent than using an AI for an interview, where you can see everything that it's done. Whereas when the AI, a different AI here, summarizes all of the interviews, you can't really see what it's done. It just kind of blurts out a summary at the end. you can simply get all the transcripts, download them all, or as an Excel sheet, you can download them and just give them to ChatGPT or something. Or you could upload them into, NVivo or a traditional qualitative analysis tool, and either manually or using AI code it for themes or tags, that kind of thing. More interesting, I think, is to do a detailed analysis. So that means respondent by respondent or line by line even. So rather than just hoping that ChatGPT has kind of really read every interview, you can manually make a table, decide what the columns are going to be, and go through each and every interview and answer questions in the columns that you've decided upon. And you can do that ad hoc on paper, or you can use some of the newer AI tools to do that. And we've got a really exciting tool called Workflows coming out, which is designed to do just exactly this kind of thing, but it's by invitation only at the moment. And finally, limitations. So Gabriella, we're going to ask people to put in the chat, do you think? Or we've
Yeah,
had some
I think
limitations
because
in the
we're
chat.
yeah, because we're running out
5
of
minutes,
time, maybe we can start a Q&A and talk about limitations that people
Yes.
are interested to talk about.
Yes. So this is what we thought of in terms of limitations, but we've got 5 minutes left. So if you're just type your answers into that chat, questions into that chat, and we'll see if we can answer them all in the remaining 5 minutes. Federico, yes, you continue to have access to this tool after you've used up your credits. It is something you have to pay for because we have to feed our children. Well, I have to feed my children. But we also have, yes, we have a special offer where if you get in touch with us and you've got an interesting research question you'd like to pursue, then if you get in touch with us and tell us about your proposal, you get an extra £100 worth of credits, which should be enough to, together with the 50 you get, that should be enough to do some serious research at some reasonable scale without having to pay anything. Can it be trained? No, we don't train it. So these aren't trained models, but you can absolutely put in information into your instruction to make it something like, to know something about the subject. In terms of the analysis, Elena, yes, well, as we've just mentioned, it has an overview tab, which gives you a very straightforward kind of 1 or 2 page overview of the whole thing. Sensitive information, it's stored, well, depends where the server is, but it can be East or West USA or Amsterdam or South Africa, or I think Southeast Asia somewhere. But don't put sensitive information on it. Basically, if you've got an app if you've got a research question which is going to put anyone into any danger, or where there's person identifying information that shouldn't be shared, then don't use this app, basically. While an interview is happening, you can, yes, sorry.
Also, another limitation is that the AI is very, very sensitive to any differences in the text or in the instructions or even in the start conditions. So you have to be very aware when you're writing your instructions, because even a word could change the behavior of the AI. What else? Inclusivity as well. People need to have access to internet and also be literate to be able to use this tool. We have a voiceover option, a microphone option. However, the AI will talk to you writing, but you can answer while talking. So people really need to at least know how to read to be able to participate.
Yes,
Any other questions?
the audio interface we've got right now is experimental, but it seems to work very well. So if when you're designing your interview, there is one of the share buttons at the top, there's a link which is a special audio link. If you use that, then people have the option to speak their answers rather than just type them. Quite a few people asking about slides. Yes. So this will be available as a PowerPoint or something, and how will that be distributed?
Yes, we'll share the recording. The recording will be available and will be uploaded on our page. So yeah.
Great, thanks. And so 2 people asked about kind of people being stupid. and just like, respondents are just saying stupid things. I think the simplest thing is just to, if you do an AI-driven overview, is just say, please mark off the interviews that you think are being stupid, and then ignore those from the subsequent analysis. But you can also, I think, delete. Can you delete individual transcripts? I can't remember.
Yes, you can.
You can, but it's better just to download them and then delete them, I think, from your transcript.
Yeah. So you will still have access to Qualia for you to test after this webinar. So just feel free to just test around and email us if you have any questions or any feedback. We are always trying to improve. And we are very eager to know what you found and how we can make it better to the evaluation community. Are there any ways to overcome respondent annoyance with assumingly repetitive questions? You can adapt the behavior of the AI. The AI doesn't necessarily need to ask repetitive questions. This will be just depending on the instructions that you write and how you want the AI to conduct the interview. So yes, you can.
Yes. And Paula mentioned that it's really important about safeguarding. So someone pretended to be a 15-year-old girl who was worried about providing any data. There should be a safeguarding flag in the sort of underlying instructions that you don't see, the guide quality's behavior, and we're still working on that to make sure that it triggers in the final case. It will then just close the interview if someone's trying to. If someone starts to share person identifying information, or if they say that they've got like a worry about their own safety, but that still needs a little bit of tweaking, I think. So I'm going to put our email address back in here. And so if you're interested, got problems, questions, just get in touch. We really like talking to people about this kind of stuff. And we'd like to thank EES for the opportunity, it's a great opportunity to meet all these really interesting and interested people. Thank you.
Thank
you so
you.
much.
It's been fabulous, and thank you so much, Gabriele and Steve, and everybody who's signed up. Do note that you can continue this trial, because quite a few of us had difficulty in getting it to load when we had the breakout groups. So do continue to try it while it's still available. And thanks for that, Stephen. Thanks, Steve and Gabriele, for being available to answer people's questions as they use the tool and explore its possibilities. So we'll round it off there and say thank you very much indeed. And we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar, which is to yet be defined. So do get in touch with us and see if there's things that you'd like us to put on. We'll be very responsive too. So thanks everybody, and have a lovely evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve, Gabriela. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.